Why don't you get it kicked off for us? What do you got on tap?
We'll start off with the women's cross country team. And the number 24 ranked women's cross country team headed to Bethlehem, Pennsylvania to run in the 36th annual Paul Short Run. The Cardinals finished 10th overall and ahead of SUNYAC proponents of Cortland, Oneonta, and New Paltz. The Cardinals were led by Jenny Schaffenhauser, who finished 4th with a time of 21:30. Just 30 seconds behind first place, Stephanie Braun and Julia Warren also finished in the top 100 of a field of 338 for the Cardinals. Braun placed 14th with a time of 22:03, while Warren crossed the line in 88th place for a time of 23:26. The Cardinals' next race will be in Albany as they go to the Albany Invitational on October 17th.
And the field was filled, as Brian said, with Division I opponents, but the number 28 Cardinals ran hard and held their own, finishing 37th out of the 42 teams. The Cards were led by Mike Heyman, who finished the meet in 24th place overall with a time of 24 minutes and 12 seconds. And teammate Alex Seco crossed the finish line less than a minute later with the time of 25:26. Other notable finishes by the Cardinals include Seth Yerney, Bobby Grimm, and Josh Mitchell. And as Brian said, the Cardinals will travel to the Albany Invitational October 17th.
Right now, we're going to shift gears to the volleyball game as Plattsburgh State took on a tough St. Lawrence team. St. Lawrence, who won the Plattsburgh Cardinal Classic tournament a few weeks back here in Plattsburgh. And we have the highlights for you as Plattsburgh were pretty much outplayed in this game as they lost 3 games to none. I mean, St. Lawrence had a really good game going for them as they just pretty much beat Plattsburgh up. But playing well for the Cardinals in that game was Susan Bodkin, who had a lot of digs in the back row. She made a couple of nice plays for the Cards in that game. Also, freshman Kayla Nason had a really nice spike in the action in the second game for the Cardinals there, and they did very well in that game. Also playing well for Plattsburgh was Kayla Hoop. She had a spike, and pretty much Plattsburgh, they got swept in the game. That was pretty much it as they lost that volleyball game, and they took it down. They lost 3 games to nothing, and it dropped their record to 8 games under 500 as they are now 8-16. Abby Mell had 3 kills for Plattsburgh, and for St. Lawrence, Nashir Miller had 8 kills. Jessica Lucky, I like the name, had 7 kills, and Plattsburgh pretty much got killed in the first 2 games, losing 25-7, and kind of made it close in the end as a 25-15. And yes, we had the women's soccer team playing Oswego.
Started the big weekend up in Oswego there, and they did travel and went into their game as the 17th ranked team in Division III soccer. Unfortunately, being the 17th ranked national team doesn't get you much, maybe just recognition. The Lady Cardinals fell 1-0 to Oswego State in their SUNYAC conference game. The Cardinals played outstanding defense, only holding Oswego to 5 shots on goal, Brian. 5 shots for the entire game. Plattsburgh State's offense wasn't lacking, however. They launched 23 shots on net for the game. The lone goal of the game came in the 21st minute when Michelle Bateman put it past freshman goalie Reese Salea to give Oswego State the lead. Salea played all 90 minutes of this game for Plattsburgh and tallied 2 saves on the day out of the 5 shots. The loss drops Plattsburgh's overall record to 7-2-1 and their conference record to 2-1-1. So a heartbreaking loss there for the Lady Cardinals. I mean, getting 23 shots on goal and not able to put it by the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Like I said, Michelle Bateman had the lone goal with Trisha Sullivan with the assist. But, I mean, 23 shots, you can't put it in. I mean,
that's a tough one.
That is a tough one. You got the offense clicking. Just it's one of those days where you can shoot, and nothing in goal. So.
And then the next day, Jeff, the team would take on Cortland as the Plattsburgh actually would get off to a good start in this game as Christy Pagoo started off the scoring for Plattsburgh with an unassisted goal, and Plattsburgh took an early 1-0 lead. Later, Cortland, late in the game, answered back in the 77th minute as Laura Boucher. And we have the highlights of the men's Oswego Cortland, the men's Plattsburgh Oswego Plattsburgh State game. And pretty much in this game, this was a low-scoring game, an affair. 2-1, Oswego won. But right here, Mike Pittimoni and Jim Martz think they're playing football as they get into a little tackling event right there as the game moved down. Later in the action right here, we see a lot of good defensive plays by the Plattsburgh defense as they get the ball right there and kick it around and clear it out of the zone. And later in the first half, Oswego would have a free kick attempt right here. But PSU, Plattsburgh State's defenders, do a really nice job of defending it. The header right out of the box right there, out of trouble. And Plattsburgh would gain possession and get really back into the game. Goals on this game, Matt Hamilton had a goal for Plattsburgh, and Felipe Cavalliti had 2 goals for Oswego that gave them the needs that they had to win the game. But as we keep going with this action right here, a lot of good plays right there by Plattsburgh. Just getting another kick in right here, and an easy play for the defenseman right here. We pick up the action now in the second half as Plattsburgh's moving across in right there, and a nice attempt right there, but it just went wide and out for a goal kick. Later in the game, Oswego came down, and Andy Hyington right there makes a great save for the Plattsburgh Cardinals right there. And finally, Plattsburgh, one last-ditch effort to try to get back in the game. The free kick is stopped and such by the goalie, and Oswego would take Plattsburgh 2-1. As I mentioned before, Felipe Cavallisi had 2 goals, and German Colazzo with 2 assists. Matt Hamilton had the goal, and Greg Wiley 1 assist. And Oswego pretty much dominated the game shot-wise as they outshot Plattsburgh 12-3 in this game. And the Plattsburgh men dropped to 2-1 in the conference, and that was a tough loss for them.
Especially getting outshot for the first time in a while that I can remember. Yeah. Getting outshot 12-5, but it was a tough loss.
Yeah, it was a tough loss for them.
Especially on your home turf.
Yeah, and now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get to the long-awaited women's soccer game, as now they would take on the Cortland Red Dragons. And as I said before, Christy Pagoo got the scoring started early for Plattsburgh, and they took a 1-0 lead. But the game would remain fairly 1-0, but later in the second half, Cortland, in the 77th minute, Laura Boscher received a cross from Bridget DeSantis, and she put it past the Plattsburgh goalie in the left post to tie the game. Plattsburgh would pretty much go into overtime, and it would end up into a 1-1 tie. Plattsburgh was ranked 17th nationally in the country, and their record now is a 7-2-2 as they dropped to 2-1-2 in the SUNYAC Conference. Plattsburgh did outshoot Cortland in this game 21-7 and had 6 corner kicks to Cortland's 2. And Reese Celia played very good for Plattsburgh in goal, making 5 saves for the Cardinals. And the ladies' Cards will be at home next Friday as they take on Oneonta in a SUNYAC conference. And the women's soccer team, Jeff, really played to a tie. They got off to the early start, but they just couldn't finish with the defense right there as DeSantis played the ball into the goal for the Cardinals. And in the game, they go into double overtime, and actually Cortland in penalty kicks would actually win the game, but they don't keep the standings. They just call it a draw. So
I did not know that.
So yeah, but good tidbit of information right there. But they would they get the tie, so they get a point there. And so far, they're doing pretty good in the season. Cortland actually is now in first place in the conference. They have an 8-1-1 record, so that was for first place. They did pretty good, though, competing on the road there. They'll come home and try to get them and get back.
The women's soccer team, 2 tough games on the road.
Yeah.
Only scoring 1 goal and getting, 35 shots on goal in 2 games?
So the offense wasn't clicking this weekend.
But the men did also take on Cortland. If you didn't know, it was a home game for the men on last Saturday, and it was a cold and windy and overcast day. And the rivalry with Cortland lived up to its reputation with a bunch of penalties, 17 fouls called on Cortland, 16 on Plattsburgh, along with 6 yellow cards being handed out for the game. Here in the second half, John Lagarado, unmarked corner kick. That was beautiful. Can't miss that assignment, though. That gave Plattsburgh the 2-1 lead early in the second half. Now Cortland near the end of the game, furious attempts here to try to not to score. The takedown there, no foul called, so that was one missed call in my opinion there. But Cortland would get the ball kicked out of bounds, and as I said, Plattsburgh winning the game against the rivals 2-1. That brings their overall record to 8-2-1, 3-1 in the SUNYAC Conference, and Plattsburgh outshot Cortland 12-5. Actually, nope, my bad. Cortland outshot Plattsburgh 12-5.